There are people in this room today who know so much more about not just what the iconography and the divisions of the painting know, but what it means and how to use it to shift horribleness into goodness in increments in your lives. So people might learn it by route in monasteries, but they won't get taught like we get taught in the West how to apply it. You know, a traditional way of teaching in the East is, you know, you knock on a teacher's door and you say, I want to learn about the Wheel of Life, and they say, yeah, come back next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And then they'll say, you know that the Wheel of Life's got the 4 Arial truths or 4 noble truths locked in it. And the monk would say, no, didn't know. That's right, don't come back until you've figured it out. When you've figured it out, I'll teach you the next part. Yeah, and it'll be that kind of teaching. Yeah, and some people get right through the entirety, and it depends on the verbal transmission. Not all of them do it through books. There's many esoteric teachings and the rest. One thing that's incredible about the source of the information we've got here, which is the lineage of the Dalai Lamas, is that because it's the Dalai Lama and it's verified, you know who taught who and what, and so you know that it's had to be accurate. We're extremely fortunate. Not only that, we had this dude, I don't know if you remember the early classes when I said I met this dude called Geshe Michael Roach. It's just a guy. Yeah? Just happens to be the first Western person to be ordained as a Tibetan monk in Tibet, as a Geshe, to graduate as a Geshe, and not just understand their words, not just understand the implications of the words in the context of Buddhism, they cognize and realize some of these things to his very core. And then, because his habituation, his past karma, made him into an American, we are fortunate enough to be able to get crazy concepts that are so foreign to us and put them in the slice of the spectrum that makes sense to us. It's so precious, it's so rare. And does it come from its own side? Is there a Geshe Michael Roach over there that is all-knowing, has realized emptiness, can explain this, that was taught by Ken Rinpoche, who was taught by the tutor of the Dalai Lama, who was taught by La Paponka Rinpoche and the rest? Is that really out there? But that's how we're forced to experience it. It's a pen. There's something in your makeup in this room that's forcing you to have whatever experience you're having. I'm hoping, I mean, I'm having a good one. You know, I'm hoping that just think about karma for a second. If karma is true and things are forced upon you because things don't have an essence of their own, what karma, what goodness, what infinite goodness would you have done in the past to try and help other people understand the world they live in to such a degree that they could be free of every suffering? Because that's what you're hearing today. The person that gave you the mind you've got today, the person that being that passed away and had their link 10 do the penjekile, the projecting karma, to produce a Sam, a Gary. What's your name? Michelle. I was going to do that next. What's your name? Fill in the name. The person that lived their lives trying to figure this out and helping other people figure out why they hurt and how they can stop hurting is the person that sent you the gift or the curse that you're experiencing in your mind as you hear information like this, in a room like here, in a book like got you here, or whatever it is that you're seeking. And so what are you going to do with it to try and break free of their grasps of this cycle of suffering. There are large cycles and there's little cycles. The large cycle is we live and die, this idea of reincarnation. If you don't believe in that, right, you don't have to believe in that. You can logically, we talked about the logical proof of past lives with the mind continuing and never breaking, and you can't blow it up, you can't slice it. It has no beginning, you can't have an ending. It's not the body, it's the mind. It's separate from the body. It's caused by different things. We talked about that. And so the wavelength of that mind caught in this cycle of perpetual suffering, even the goodnesses in this cycle turn sour. In Tibetan they say it's like licking honey. So your tongue touches the honey and you feel sweetness, some happiness in your life, some goodness. You fell in love, you got a job, you figured out some of the nominal happinesses, you taste the honey. But it's sitting on a razor blade. It always ends. It always cuts. It doesn't stay. It has to be let go. Even if you retain some, the youth will be gone, the hair will be gone. You know, it's horrible to think about. But if you analyze truthfully, every goodness we experience in this realm must turn, the big cycles. And then the mini cycles. Remember the Gary, the yelling boss, not you Gary, the other one. The experience of this being yelling at me and I yell back. It's my natural instinct. It's like the dog salivating because it's a chewable toy. It's our instinct to push back when we're pushed towards, to hit back. That's part of being in this realm. So we're forever doing these mini cycles. You know, the boss comes into the room and you know if you lie and imply that somebody else made the mistake, you're not going to get yelled at. You're not going to get in trouble. And so you tell a lie that then grows in your mind about not being able to trust things. But you don't know where this sense of not being able to trust things comes from. So doing that same act as an act of truth, we're going to talk about these things. This is the most important part of the wheel of life because it tells you how to work it. And so it says, take this up and give that up. Enter into the Buddhist teaching, destroy the forces of the Lord of Death like an elephant crushing a house of reeds. I'll go really quickly and then you can get reference notes later because I'm aware of time. Take this up and give that up. For those of you who are aware of the 5 Bodhisattva paths, is Tsoklam, the path of accumulation. Yeah, what are you accumulating in the path of accumulation?
Merit.
Merit, yeah? Merit, good karmas, good stuff. Why do you want to collect some merit? Why do you want to do some goodnesses? Because the result will be good. And the more ultimate the goodnesses, the more ultimately good the result. Right? So back then it meant give up on the home life. Give up expecting that when you lie to the boss to get away with being blamed for some mistake that you did, that's the cause of getting away with it. It's giving up the stupid mini cycles of yelling at the boss who will end up yelling back and you'll find more yelling bosses. Giving up this idea that whatever's happening to me right now comes from my action towards it right now. Yeah, any good result I get from going to a job to earn money and the paycheck I get on that Friday or whenever you get it did not come from that week's effort. Because some people work a week and don't get paid. That proves that it doesn't. It's not 100% result. So it's saying give the idea of that up and take up instead an act of truth. Take up this understanding of how things work logically. That if you're in a room alone with a boss and you know that you could lie and you'll probably get away with it because that's how 90% of the stuff works. Yeah? Because you don't think it's recorded in your mind. You think, oh, I could lie and get away with it so that he didn't yell at me or she didn't yell at me because I lied. I implied somebody else. At that moment, take this up means take up an act of truth. Don't lie. Tell the truth. Experience the karma. They might not yell at you. It does not come from what you said to them 5 seconds before. It just appears that way 90% of the time. That's wisdom. Understanding things don't have a nature of their own, and things are caused and then are forced upon you by your past karma, which take time to ripen. You don't plant an apple tree today, give an apple tree to the boss, and instantly he's got a full tree of apples. It doesn't happen that way. Imprints of the mind, perceptions coming back, dependent origination, things that depend on your perceptions, take time to ripen. The yelling back or the not yelling back you've experienced did not happen because you lied or didn't lie. Do we got that? That's for the mini cycles. For the mini cycles, take up acts of truth, thinking about things correctly. Give up on the idea that doing things the way everybody else has taught us to do them is the real way things function. Give up thinking that way. The unfortunate and the fun part about it is that you still have to function. You have to get on a bus to get on the bus. But you've got to think that you didn't get on the bus to get on the bus. And so you will look like a crazy person. Which is a good thing. Yeah, so let's take that up and take this up and give that up. It's the path of accumulation in Sotlam. Enter into the Buddhist teaching is Jorlam, the path of preparation. Yeah? Preparing for what? So you're collecting some merit. The first one is collecting merit, collecting goodnesses, charging up some karmas, some good karmas. Yeah? Still caught in the wheel because it's still going to have cause and effect. Yeah? You're charging up some good karmas, but you're removing some ignorances out of them because you're doing acts of truth. And now you enter into the Buddhist teaching. Now, does it mean you have to be a Buddhist and you have to study Buddhism and Buddhism is the right way? Is that what it means?
Mm-hmm.
What's Buddha mean? Awake. Awakening. Yeah? This ism idea is also not coming from its own side. Yeah? There's wisdom in there, but you've got to figure it out. It's not Buddhism. It won't save you. Buddhism will not save you. Your application of some wisdom will save you from every tiny suffering and every major suffering. And like the dog doesn't believe this is a pen from old age and death, because things are dependent on your projections. If you plant the right karmas, this could be $100. Actually, if you plant the right karmas, it could probably be a bit more. $102. Yeah? And so the path of preparation, what would you be preparing to? So you're in this slice of the spectrum, yeah, and you've figured out that there might be some more, so you're going to build some virtue to peel off some layers so you can get a bigger hint of the spectrum, and then you start entering into the path of preparation. Preparation for what? For seeing the entire spectrum, having the experience of seeing emptiness directly, not just understanding it logically or intellectually, actually having a sense, having a direct experience of it, a visceral sense of the spectrum. Because after you do that, you break something. So that's what, you break something good. Enter into the Buddhist teaching, Jorlam. That's the path of preparation. Destroy the forces of the Lord of Death is seeing, which is Tonglam. How do you destroy death? You see that it wasn't death. It's empty. You don't believe Hector. You don't believe the Buddhists. You know it. There's no more sort of understand it. You've prepared. You've planted the courses like the apple trees. You're just planting realization trees. Seeds of realization that ripen as reality. This is a pen. This is a classroom. You experience it as if it is there, as if it is reality. This was just caused. It was dependent on your perceptions, forced upon you by your past karma. So after preparing, you enter the path of seeing, which is seeing emptiness directly. That is destroy the forces of the Lord of Death. There's no coming back for death. if you can see the entire spectrum, and that spectrum informs you that there is no death from its own side. So then you get busy, like an elephant crushing a house of reeds. It's easy then. You know. Now the house of reeds is important here because reeds seem solid, like our reality is solid to us. But inside they're hollow. So they give the appearance of solid, of real, but they are empty. There's nothing in them. And yet they're sturdy, they function. So reeds are important in that sentence. So similarly, you've gained so much power by having seen the way things truly are that you could just destroy the forces of death. Whereas before, you would have said, I can't believe that, like the dog can't believe this is a pen. This is only a chewable toy. There is no penness. There's no convincing that dog that this is a pen. We're a little bit luckier than dogs. We have this ability to think ahead a little more than when the fridge door opens. And so that's Gomlam, the path of meditation, elephant crushing the house of reeds.
Is that like the path of habituation?
Path of meditation. Yeah, or I think they have another name for it. No, you're confusing paths. Yeah?
So about seeing is also called meditation.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
path of meditation and then the path of seeing and then the path of meditation for the 5 bodhisattva paths.
Oh.
Yeah, different paths. And then it says, those who gently follow this path of self-control, gently being with care, you can't know that you've got 10 layers of gauze on your face and rip them all out at once and open your eyes to the sunlight. Yeah? It won't work. You'll get burnt. Gently. Choose one bad habit, one thing that keeps returning for you. For me, it was Gary. Do you remember the story of the yelling boss? I was capable of transforming that experience and anything like it because of what I learned here. And it's totally possible, but I can't convince you, and it's not my job to do it for you. You have to pick one thing for you, just one course at a time. Is it that relationships don't work for you? Is it that you're always with the wrong relationship? Is it that doesn't matter what people do for you, you don't feel loved? I know that was that thing for my dad. No amount of loving in his impression gave him a sense of being loved. Even when you loved him. I know from my side we did. And he would interpret into they're pitying me. Or, it would be so slippery. His mind was so habituated. We all have something like that. I'm not pretty. Or you meet the same type of aggravating person. Yeah? Make them your friend. Because they are you. Then turn them using the information you got here. Gently. Don't expect that you plant an apple seed and instantly you have a forest of apples, producing apples upon apples. That takes a long time. And the correct apple seeds to start with. Some apples could be Granny Smith's. Self-control. Those who gently follow this path of self-control. Self-control smells of do's and don'ts, right? Self-control. We have some habits that we think we're all free and easy because we're in America and whatever, that are terrible for us. Yeah, so from the Vinaya, if you've got pen and paper, take this 10 down. This is a good place to start for self-control. And there's no nature from their own side. Experience them as something blissful, as you getting this in your mind. Number 1, honor and respect life. All life. gently. Whenever you see life or things threatening life, and actually go a step beyond, things threatening health, other things' health, respect it. Make sure people can breathe easy. Beings, animals, insects. Get this attitude. You're molding your mind. Respect life. Respect other people's property, other people's stuff. Honor and respect other people's relationship. Yeah? This is hard in summer. Because there's a lot of skin. Yeah? But one way that I think of these things is I imagine a bubble above my head announcing to the world, like a speech bubble, exactly what I'm thinking. Blinking very brightly. Nice abs, you know. And then some ridiculous stuff that you really wouldn't want projected up there. Yeah? I'm editing as we speak. And this is a funny way, but it helps you. If you imagined that every thought you had about every being you meet was projected above there for them to read, and then you add to that the next step, which is you are them reading that about you, or you're their partner reading that about them from you. Sorry to get convoluted. What feeling does it give you? And if it's negative, it's bad for you from its own side. How bad is it? It's in your mind. You've recorded it. You're experiencing it. And because we're habituated, we don't even think about it. That's why self-control, gently. Yeah? Always speak the truth. Get nitty-gritty about it. Be detailed about it. Even impressions, false impressions we leave on people. We all do it. If you've ever written a resume, what's the intent? Misguide. Now, if karma's true, and if karma determines every single detail of your experience, then like my dad, no amount of someone telling you, honestly, Dad, will make you believe that. If you've got seeds in your mind of not telling the truth. Because those seeds are the things that are coming into our wavelengths of this spectrum, telling us, oh, maybe they're making that up. That destroys truth. How can you get to ultimate truth when we're mucking around with relative truths? So get serious about doing acts of truth about truth. Did I say truth too many times? Mm-hmm. True. Bring people together with words. Bring people together with words. Remember the downward spiral? If you've ever had your heart broken, and then you imagine that at some point everyone else you know could have their heart broken, try and stop that from happening for them. So whenever people have differences, say something to them that brings them together. Look for the similarities. Everyone's got differences. It's just where you put your mind. Let it rest in the similarities or let it rest in the differences. Your mind will give you the answer. The mind doesn't care. Yeah? But you will care the result. If you've ever missed someone, whether it's your mum, it's a lover, it's a friend, bring people together.
But is it not more that you're moving from your heart instead of your mind keeping your mind shut and letting you going more from your heart.
It's a nice thing you say that. I think I've been around Dharma for too long. So when I say mind, I know I point up here, but it is the heart.
It's the heart.
It's the heart. You're absolutely
Because it's
right.
about shutting this off. And
We're not saying brain. I'm not saying brain.
Yeah.
In Tibetan Buddhism and in the East, the mind is here. You know, in the West we call that the mind because it's connected to the brain. And
because it's like no mind, no problem, no?
Yeah, correct. Sorry, you're right. And this is mind. Yeah,
Okay.
so I should do that more often. Thank you for that. That was very nicely put. Always speak sweetly. Things that will give a sweetness to people's mind. Does this mean that you shouldn't say poo? You know? If it gets a sweet feeling, it's good to say poo. You know, if you're amongst friends and you have the dirty nickname for each other, which makes your heart open up and smile with each other, that's speaking sweetly. Right, Gary?
I have a friend who I text message utter pure filth back and forth to, just the nastiest things we can think of, and it's because we're so close and we're purifying these terrible things at the same time.
Lovely.
And we laugh. We're making each other laugh all day.
Lovely.
By saying the
Lovely. And you know, for their ear, for their experience, it's a sweetness.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if I type the same things to my mom, she probably
No.
And there's a nice saying too. I mean, if we all have Buddha nature, or if we all are God, and then another way to look at it, how can you be angry at somebody?
Exactly.
How
Yeah.
can you? I mean, you know.
Yeah. Beautiful.
If you're all blissful consciousness, that's what we are actually, you know. And you see this in everybody, in everything. So there's no way to.
But you have to see it. You have
That's
to
it.
habituate yourself
It
to
has
see it.
has to go into.
True. Instead of useless talk, say things that are important. Shut up. You know? Because you're going to have all this interference in your world. Did you see Lady Gaga's last video? Who cares? No. No, but do you know what I'm talking about? We spend so much time blah blah about. I mean, I have a great friend. For me, he's a Buddhist. He's a Buddha actually. He lives in Sydney, and he had a New Year's evolution. He decided he would have a New Year's evolution. He was going to evolve, and he's going to evolve by going back to basics. He said, from January 1st, I am going to really rediscover my senses, and I'm just going to listen for a month. And he just listened intently at the subtler sounds and the sensation that the sounds gave him and the words implied, and he really practiced listening. And then he practiced touch, and he practiced taste, and he practiced smelling, and he really reactivated, he evolved himself. So he had a New Year's evolution. Yeah? I think he's up to eating.
He's 18 senses.
No, eating.
Oh, yeah.
So say stuff that's important. Yeah? Don't waste stuff. What's important? Important is what gets you happiness, gets you away from suffering. That's what we're all wanting. Does it mean you can't be silly? No, be silly if it's important in that interaction. This one is massive. You know, be happy when others get something nice or good that they want. You watch people getting something that you wish you had. Be happy that they got it. Because if the impressions are in your mind, you're changing your mind. Every time, every opportunity you have to watch somebody get happy or rejoice about getting exactly what they wanted. What a beautiful way to walk around the planet. This is gently path of self-control. Be happy when, be unhappy when bad things happen to others. Don't think they deserved it. If they've suffered because of something they've suffered, be unhappy that they're suffering. Wish that you could change it. Get a sense of sadness and wish for that to not have happened. And the last thing is understand where things come from. Try and develop wisdom separate to knowledge. Collect information, yes. Get knowledge, yeah. I mean, I'm not a knowledgeable person. It takes me ages to memorize any of these things. Yeah? They are just blah blah. And they don't become charged up, meaningful, until you've applied them with wisdom. Understanding where things really come from is the ultimate wisdom. You're limited time in this area of the spectrum. Yeah? And if that's the spectrum, and within that spectrum we're the American version, the Western version, yeah? And right next door here, they can't bump into it, is the animal spectrum. We look at the same reality, but they can't bump in, they can't see this as a pen. Yeah? And then the Wheel of Life says that there's all this, at least 5 different areas of the spectrum that you could land in, experience yourself in, depending on your karma. If 2 can happen in the one room, 5 can happen. You're eligible for all 5 experiences of this thing, according to this. Don't think this is it. Mind doesn't stop. Where do you think it will go when it stops? So, being human means we have this precious, precious thing called the mind. Use it with wisdom. You don't know when death is coming. You just know it is. It's gnawing at us, and that's how we started this class. It's gnawing at us since our conception, since the moment of our birth. It's eating away at us. Not out there, not with the circumstances. They're just the delivery mechanism for that force. It is also a perception. If there is any stuff left in you that hasn't been beaten out of you, to think that this spectrum is all there is, if there is a tiniest hope, invoke it with intelligent investigation, because it can save you ultimately and from every hurt. So I want to just review some of the things you said were important to you when we started this class. Some people wanted a better understanding of dependent origination. There were the 12 links. Some people wanted to know more how karma and emptiness work together. I hope we talked about that with a few examples on a practical way. I want you to choose one thing. If you really have a minute, it's a precious minute towards this time. I'm sorry I'm keeping you late, but this might be the most important decision, because it will prove to you a concept that can change your life. Think about it seriously. What's your reoccurring theme? What's your yelling boss equivalent? What could you possibly start applying intelligent view on to stop the hurt for you? Who's your enemy? How do you create more friends? Where's your yelling boss? Why is sexuality an issue? Why is there never any money? How come people lie to me? How come I can't trust my friends? How come I look fat in the mirror all the time, even after a diet? You know? One of these things will be your pattern, your cycle, your main cycle. The way you see yourself, you know? How come things don't work this way? No matter how much I try the conventional way, I can never get the right job. I can never get the right health. I can never get the right this. Pick one of those and try it from the effort that you've placed in the 6 classes that we had. try to the best of your knowledge, you don't need to be an expert, to the best of your knowledge, peel off the first layer. Try and understand that the experience you're having from those things does not come from those things the way you think they do. There's another truth that you've got to hint at. So act in accordance to those 10 ways of acting. Sorry, I got preachy again. Got some metaphors. I think we got the light bulb as a metaphor, the for reality, the spectrum, a bunch of metaphors. Monkeys and houses, like monkey mind. How does it connect with healing? I love that question. I don't know who asked it. Anyone here asked that? Or was it earlier on? How does it connect with healing? It's the ultimate healing. It's the medicine for the ultimate sickness. Better understanding of the things that around me, that's dependent origination. Deepen my meditation practice. What's the difference between the inner and outer worlds? And something to ignite a fire, a better focus. I hope that I managed to pass on some of the information those people gave me, and I hope that you get to use it in a way that changes your life. Now, I want to do a little ceremony for those of you who are interested. If you want to remember this class and you want to remember what it means to you, then I want to offer for you to take one of these things and we'll wrap it around you. And so every time you look at it, hopefully you'll remember some of the things that for you were meaningful in the class. So when you put your face down on the pillow, and as your consciousness goes away, you're practicing dying by bringing to mind the most beautiful things you've done, the most wise you've been. And so every night as you fall asleep and you look at that on your arm, you imagine your most perfect potential. You ignite the right karmas. That's practice for dying. I mean, the simplest way. Yeah. So if you want to play and do that, it has great significance. Hopefully, you can. Yeah. It keeps it fresh and relative and meaningful, while other things pass. If you've tried all the other things, going to the job, getting the girlfriend, buying the houses, going on vacation, you know they end. If there's a hint of you that hopes that there's something more, try it. Yeah. Sam, we'll do this and then we'll do the try and generate an intent. You've just, sorry, I interrupt one more time. Think this is the motivation for this one. There is almost guaranteed no one else in New York City tonight talking about figuring out how things really work. It's highly unlikely, let alone in the country. There might be some few groups that tonight particularly, they've devoted this much time in their minds, in their precious minds, to try and figure out, like dogs trying to figure out whether that's a pen. There's freedom to that. Imagine that multiplied zillions of time and send it out through the entire network of streets in New York City, feeling and touching every person. And in that instant, it removes any doubt, every hurt, and gives them a bliss that is bliss for them. If they're hungry, it's food. If they're lonely, it's a hug. If they're poor, it's money. You invent the rest. Send it through the subway tunnels, spread out throughout the states and then through the world. Send.
Sashi
Ukir Jishin Metotram Rirab Ningshin Dekim Hadi Sangha Shindu Miteruargi Drogun Namda Shinla Jiparsho Idam Guru Laknamandala Kamniyatayami Kewa Di yeshe tsotsoshin Sunam yeshe lejunwei Dampa kuni topasho. And just hold that for about a minute. Imagine it going out to every place, touching every being. Generate a sense of goodness and aware of where it comes from. When you're ready. And thank you for playing. That was fun for me. So I hope it was fun for you. Yeah.
Please stay happy.
Please keep teaching, please stay happy.
Please keep teaching.
Please stay. Thank you, Dr.
That was fun. Thank you. Now, who wants to play?
Oh, I want it first.
So you have two options. With or without skull. Do you want to play?
Yes.
Awesome. Do you want with or without skull? I only got 5 skulls, so first skulls first.
I think I'll do without.
Without skull. People don't like the skull. Okay, 1 or 2 reps.
Whatever you want to do.
Whatever I want to give you. Before I do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Michelle.